You're listening to Linux News Log, separating the Linux and open source signal from the noise.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I am your host Adrian, coming to you almost live from lovely Petaluma, California, here in Studio MC2 at QuickSurf Internet Studios. Linux News Log is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Do feel free to head on over to techpodcast.com and check out all the other technology-related shows over there as well. I'd like to encourage everybody to please subscribe to the show if you have not already done so. You can do that by visiting us online over at quicksurf.com. And in the show notes for every episode, I've got a subscribe heading, and you can subscribe to an OGG Vorbis feed, an MP3 feed, and both a standard def and high def H.264 video feed. They're both fairly compatible with a wide range of players. If you're watching on YouTube, then there's a subscribe link up at the above this video, or there should be a subscribe link up above this video. Otherwise, just go to the QuickSurf channel, and there should be a subscribe link there as well. You can also catch us over on blip.tv, Dailymotion, and we're also on Stitcher.com. So do feel free to head on over to Stitcher.com if you want to get us on the Stitcher radio, digital radio network. And with that, please do visit us online over at quicksurf.com. And let's go ahead and get into the stories for this episode. Before I talk about this first story over at Joystick, there's one thing I do want to kind of call out to my audience. Google has announced that they are canceling Google Reader as of July 1st. And I could not be more unhappy with this announcement. I am a very, very, very heavy Google Reader user, and I'm upset enough, and I've asked for alternatives on my other show, The Geekinator, which you can check out if you want, but I'm upset enough about this that I might actually make my own web-based news reader web application, kind of based on Google Reader. I know what I need in terms of features and functionality, but my question going out to the audience is, and shoot me an email, linux@quicksurf.com, if you're interested in such a thing. My question to the audience is, if you are a Google Reader user, would you be willing to try out a replacement that I would develop primarily for my use, but I'd be willing to make it available for other users as well? Let me know if there are any specific features or functionality that you like or dislike about Google Reader, or you want to see in a web-based reader. By all means, let me know, and I'm seriously considering coding up, because I'm a computer programmer by trade, so I'm seriously considering coding up a replacement just so that I can, continue to do my shows. I've tried out a couple of alternatives that have been suggested. Feedly is one of them. It's pretty much the closest runner-up, but until they actually detach from Google Reader, and they're not as fast. So this is not good. Not good at all. Anyway, I've ranted about this long enough, going on 4 minutes now. So let's go ahead and get into the stories for this episode. Over at Joystick, Kickstarter overachiever Legend of Dungeon is now out for the PC, Mac, and Linux. This is pretty cool. Don't expect to survive in Legend of Dungeon. At least that's what the creepy announcer in the above video warns. From developer Robot Loves Kitty, Legend of Dungeon is a rogue-like action RPG beat-em-up with dynamic lighting and soundtrack systems, featuring more than 240 responsive music tracks. You can now get it for the personal computer, Mac, OS X, and Linux in nearly beta for $10. So definitely check this out if this is something that, if you like to game on Linux. From Lifehacker, how to boot into Linux from your Android phone. That's right, Android, whether you're troubleshooting a problematic PC or you just prefer working in your own OS with your own tools, keeping a Linux boot CD or USB key is a great way to take a customized system with you anywhere you go. With Drive Droid, you don't need to bother with media, and you can use the gadget you carry with you all the time anyway, your Android phone. So Drive Droid will, once you get connected to your PC, boot your computer to any ISO file or IMG disk image that's stored on your Android phone. Whether you just like working in Linux whenever possible, but find yourself using other systems with other OSs installed already, or you like the idea of keeping a rescue disk on your smartphone instead of on optical media, this handy app can help. So definitely check this out. I thought it was pretty cool. I know there's, a lot of Android users in the audience, so definitely something to look into. From ZDNet, Distro Deluge, 6 imminent Linux releases have been previewed. So there are a few new Linux releases on the way from SUSE, Debian, Linux Mint, Mozilla, Ubuntu, and Aurora. So the respective versions is OpenSUSE 12.3, Linux Mint Debian Edition 201303 or 2013-03, Debian 7.0, the Wheezy Edition, Aurora 18, Mozilla 3, and Ubuntu 13-04. So pretty interesting. Expect deets on all of these when they actually become available. From itproportal.com, Mozilla previews the latest version of the Firefox OS Simulator. That's right. So I kind of missed this when it was originally announced. Firefox is doing a Firefox OS very much like the whole Chrome OS thing, which works for some people, I guess, but I'm not really a huge, work from the cloud kind of guy. This is a guy who's got, 7 or 8 terabytes of storage here on my local network. Anyway, so Firefox previews the latest version of Firefox OS Simulator. Pretty neat. It's preview version 3.0. It's a tool for developers to test apps for the Firefox operating system from their Windows, Mac, or Linux computers. So, if you're interested in doing something of this nature, definitely take a look at it. From the Register, OpenSUSE 12.3 ships, project back on track. So OpenSUSE Linux has, obviously it's now available. It's version 12.3. You get a host of updates and improvements for the desktop servers and the cloud. If you're an OpenSUSE user, this is definitely something you want to look into for a potential upgrade target. From InsideSocialGames.com. I've never even heard of this website, yet somehow it's managed to pop up on my radar. GameMaker Studio now supports Linux publishing. Yo-Yo Games today announced its game development software suite, GameMaker Studio. It's now supports Linux publishing for the first time. So for those of you who develop on this platform, this is an exciting new announcement. And we'll be looking forward to Linux-based games being published on that platform. From electronicdesign.com, Eclipse-Based tool suite supports embedded Linux developers. I thought this was pretty cool because when I do Java development, it's primarily all in Eclipse, and my day job is Linux. It's on an embedded Linux development, even though it's mostly C and C++ with some Ruby and Lua and that sort of thing stacked in there. But I thought this was pretty neat. So Intel System Studio targets the embedded developer. It combines many of the individual tools that Intel has provided, from system analyzers to advanced debuggers. It integrates with the open source Eclipse IDE, providing full cross-platform development support. System Studio runs on a range of platforms, including Windows and Linux. So one of the major components of this is the GDB debugger. It's optimized for Intel 64 and IA32 architectures. So the thing that bothers me about this is, this is cool and all, but there's a lot of embedded Linux environments that don't run Intel hardware. They run ARM hardware, like where I work. It's all ARM based. So, while it's cool that Intel's doing this, I wish they'd make it a little more, cross-platform. I don't expect them to, because Intel puts out CPUs, and so any software tools that they put out, I would only really expect them to be for their hardware. But wouldn't it be awesome if Intel did that, where they said, hey, you know what? We're going to make this available for as many platforms as possible in the embedded world. That would be cool. From linuxgizmos.com, tiny computer module boasts a 1.65 gigahertz AMD APU and Linux. Anders DX is shipping a miniature computer on a module based on a dual-core 1.65 gigahertz AMD G series APU. The CM-IGT provides rich graphics and multimedia capabilities and is supported with embedded Linux. So you get a dual-core 64-bit x86 CPU. It's clocked at 1.65 gigahertz, depending on the board model, or up to. It also supports up to 4 gigs of DRAM and 32 gigabytes of flash onboard memory. The APUs combine both the CPU and GPU functionality. This particular one includes a UVD3 video processing engine that provides native H.264 VC1, MPEG-2, and DivX 1080p Blu-ray playback capabilities. And it also integrates a Radeon HD 6250 GPU, which supports DirectX 1.1, OpenGL 4.0, and OpenCL. So, pretty neat. There's a lot of other hardware, i.e. 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. You can get 6 PCI Express lanes, 5 SATA ports, 8 USB ports, RS-232 CAN, I2C ports, 29 general purpose I/O lines, etc. Pretty awesome. So definitely check this out. I might actually 6 SATA ports. Woo! I might actually look into this myself. From the H Open, Canonical and Dell are collaborating on PowerEdge server support. Canonical is the company behind the popular Ubuntu Linux distribution. They have announced that they are partnering with Dell to expand support for Ubuntu on the company's PowerEdge servers. As part of this, Canonical will certify PowerEdge 11G and 12G products for Ubuntu 12.04 long-term support, and Dell will add Ubuntu to its official operating system support matrix. So pretty awesome. Definitely check it out. That's it for this episode. As always, everything we've talked about is linked up in the show notes, which you can find online over at quicksurf.com. Also, please do subscribe to the show if you have not already done so. If you have, thank you so much for subscribing. And shoot me an email, linux@quicksurf.com, if you want to see anything covered in the show, or even potentially covered in the show. You can send me a link for that. You can also send show feedback via that mechanism, linux@quicksurf.com. And with that, I will see all of you on the next episode. I'll see you then. Bye.